you all had a wonderful, blessed, and amazing week. And even if you feel like you didn't, speak it anyway. And we pray next week will be everything that you want it to be. But this morning, I want to shine a light into a very dark place. So many times over the last few years, I mean, really this year, we've heard so much about police action shootings. I use that term very loosely when I say police action shootings, because that is saying that they had no other choice but to shoot, kill, or injure individuals. So I like to use that term very loosely. But today I have Miss Pamela Wooden. Over the course of the last year, she has become a dear friend of mine. Her and her family have just been amazing in their plight in the city to bring awareness to what happened to her son. As so many of you know, I do the same thing. So when I see that there's a good, solid mother with a good heart, I really like to link arms with them so that we can be a support system to one another, be here for one another. It's a rough journey. It's a difficult road to travel. So just to have good people in your corner and be supportive on any level that we can be to one another is what we're here to do. So December 12th last year, Christopher Goodlow Jr. Was shot and killed by IMPD on 38th and Franklin, near that area, right? So, as you all know, today is December 10th. We are nearing the 1-year anniversary of Christopher's murder. And I thought, actually a few weeks ago, I did not have an idea for the show. And then I was going one direction, and I was laying in bed one morning, and instantly God put Pamela on my heart. And I said, as we approach the 1-year anniversary of her son's shooting, we really need to shine a light, not only to the police action shooting part of it, but into the mental health issue as well. So today we are going to dive in with Miss Pamela. I welcome you to the show. Thank you so much for coming on today. I know this is a hard time for you. And prior to the camera going on and us going live, we were just talking about 1-year anniversaries. And basically, we just have to go through it. There's nothing we can do about it. With all the power we wish we had, we could turn back the hands of time, but we can't. So you don't try to fight it. Don't let anyone pressure you or rush you or make you feel some sort of kind of way. If you have to stay in bed all day, if you have to yell out and cry and ask God why, do what you have to do to get through that anniversary. I am approaching the 3rd anniversary. And you know what? I'm 2 months away and I'm already feeling the ramifications of it because I see Drake's friends moving on, in which you probably see those things. So we just have to go through it. Okay? So I just want to encourage you with that. There's a couple statistics that I wanted to share before we got started because I think it'll be great opening up our conversation. So I was doing some research prior to the show yesterday and found some pretty amazing things, I must say. In 2015, and this was dated January 6, 2016 from the Washington Post, 986 people were shot and killed by police officers all over the country. And ironically, Pam, in December of 2015, it was the deadliest month of police shootings for the entire year. 86 people were murdered. And when I thought about that, I thought about your son being in that number. 86 people were murdered in December of 2015 by police officers. This is all according to the Washington Post. That is double the national average. So 986 people shot and killed by those that are here to protect and serve. So just think about the 2 or 3 we hear about. We don't hear about that many. Out of 986, over half of the police shootings were actually armed white men. I don't think the media hardly puts that out there. That's why I do my research. Over half were armed white men. Blacks are killed at 3 times the national rate of white men when we adjust it by the population in that area. So even though half are armed white men, we are killed at African American men are killed at a higher rate. Also, most of the African American men, half of those that are shot and killed are not armed. Black men represent 6% of the population. They make up 40% of the people that are killed by police officers. So this is very alarming. But regardless of race, this is what I really want to start in on, Pam. Regardless of race, a quarter of all those killed in 2015 displays signs of mental illness.
My God.
A quarter of all of the police action shootings were those that were killed had some sort of mental illness. That's where you come in. So I want you to take us back to the best of your ability to December 12th, 2015.
Well, that morning, because I worked the third shift, I know that Christopher wasn't himself because 2 o'clock in the morning he had called me. He had been calling his kid's mother, and she called me saying he wasn't himself. So when I got off work at 4:30 that morning, I had called him and told him I needed for him to lay down and rest. And as soon as me and his sister leave from the license branch, and I'll take my mother to the store and come to get him, and we gonna fix his favorite tacos. But at the same time, I was saying I wasn't going to work Monday because I got to get him out there to get some help because he in himself.
Okay, so when you say he wasn't himself, he was texting you things that were unusual, not like the typical Christopher. Okay.
And the things that his kid's mother would say, that God is real, feel like I'm dying, my body's burning. You know, I was thinking when after all this happened, he probably was already cutting himself. So I'm thinking when he hadn't called me in a couple of hours after that, he probably laid there and went to sleep, but not the whole time. He hadn't. So when me and my daughter was in the license branch, I told him as soon as we gonna pick him up. And so he called me back and said, well, no, my home team visit's coming out by 10:30. I said, well, soon they leave, you call me. And I told my daughter, I said, well, I thank God they're coming out. And right, hopefully they see what's wrong with him, so they'll give me a call.
Okay. Were you allowed? Okay, so let's go back a little bit, because you're mentioning things about not being himself, a home team visits. Tell us a little bit about Christopher prior to this day. He suffered from mental illness.
Yes.
Okay.
He had he's been diagnosed with, first he was diagnosed with bipolar, and then later on it was schizophrenia, paranoid delusion, psychosis. And, you know, weeks and stuff prior to his death, I had reached out to his mental health program, telling him something wasn't right about Christopher.
Was this a lifelong battle that Christopher fought?
Well, we started really seeing the changes in him at the age between 14 and 15, because he had developed what they call viral meningitis infection in his brain.
Okay.
And ever since then, Christopher hadn't been himself.
Right, because that's a neurological
disorder. You know, because before that, he was chronic asthma, seizures, off and on.
But no mental health issues prior to the meningitis.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's a good point to make.
Yeah.
So you started seeing signs of mental health issues after this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Withdrawals, always by himself. He was a quiet person.
Okay.
So, like I said, prior to that, you know, I reached out to the mental health, telling them something wasn't right. Christopher went to self, you know, and the Thursday before his death, before he got killed, we was in the store and looking for him in Walmart. He's standing there looking around like he's watching for himself. And hollering. He said, you know, why did my husband have to leave me in this cold world, you know? And I was on the phone with my daughter. I said, I got to get him out of here. And I called her then, and I said, we call them Tez. I said, Tez, you have got to pull yourself together. What's going on, which I don't want to see you in the group home, you know.
Right.
They up your shots. You don't want to live like a zombie.
Because up until this point, he lived alone.
Yeah.
He lived alone. He had 2 children. Was he able to see his children and everything okay?
All the time. Okay. He kept them every other weekend. Prior to that weekend, he got killed because we noticed something
was off.
And no.
So he was an active father.
Yes.
Even despite the mental health. And so you started seeing a decline in his mental health. But prior to that, he was on medications that you knew of.
He was taking a shot.
Okay, he was taking a shot.
For almost a year. And
Okay.
I did not know that they took him off his shot until that Thursday.
Okay.
Before he got, because he told Mama, I don't take it. I said, when did I not take the shot? But that explains why. And they didn't tell me.
And so it seems like after the shot, there was after the shot stopped, there was a rapid decline in his mental health. Okay. So go take us back to December 12th. I just wanted to give our audience a little bit of a background. Because some of the stuff you were saying, we had to make it clear. So there was a mental health diagnosis in his teens and early 20s, right? Okay, so in his teens and early 20s, on paper, legally documented that he had schizophrenia. Okay.
Yeah, it was just, a year or two ago with that.
Okay.
Yeah, he always had been diagnosed with some, even through his school.
Because, a lot of times people will be like, I knew something was wrong with him, but it's, especially in our community, mental health diagnosis, it's like a stigma, which we'll talk about that later in the show. People don't want to get diagnosed. They don't want to go for help. They don't want to seem different or crazy, so they don't seek it out. And then when something happens, whether they take someone's life or their life's taken, then people say, I knew something was wrong. But this isn't the case in your family. He was diagnosed. It was on the record. You were getting him help. He was getting help, and he was okay with getting help.
Until they stopped the shots.
Until they stopped the shots. Now, when they stopped the shots, they didn't stop the visits, because he did say they were coming that day.
And then, but they was putting back on the pill. That was the issue that we had.
Okay.
From the beginning. He said the pills made him feel funny, made him think things he didn't want to think.
So that's why he was on the shot.
Yeah, because he wouldn't take the pills like he should. So they would come out through the week. If they didn't come to visit on the weekend, they would leave him his medicine to take. He wouldn't take it.
They didn't watch him take his medication? Because I know a lot of community health nurses and stuff, they go to, if you have tuberculosis and stuff, or HIV sometimes, they'll come to your house and watch you take the medicine.
Well, I know when they first started out, they did. But after he was doing so good, I don't know if
they just trusted him, maybe.
Because I don't know exact date they stopped him off the shot. He finally told me. That's not, so but that explains the changes. So, I called him furious and told him it was against my better judgment, So, back to that day, me and my mother went to Dollar General from 54th and Keystone. And I told my mother, we was talking about it. She said, yeah, you need to get him back out there. And I said, I'm going to have some complaints because something ain't right. So, we was standing in the line, getting check out. And my phone rang. It was his number. I said, oh, Mama, he done got impatient. Let me go so we can go get him.
Right.
So I can go get him. And I'm like, hello? And all I heard was, ma'am, you need to get down here. I'm like, who was this?
It was from his phone.
No, yeah.
Okay.
The neighbor. They ain't gonna say what they said. They killed your son. They did him wrong. I said, who killed my son? What you doing with his phone? I said, no one killed my son.
Right, you thinking I just talked to him.
Yeah, about an hour or so ago. And he said, they killed your son. I said, who? He said, the police. I said, the police wouldn't kill my son. My son don't deal with the police. Why would the police kill my son? He just kept saying, get down here. Wow. So at that point, I went numb.
Because you're thinking, I haven't heard anything.
I went numb. My mom was standing there like, oh my God. She started calling my brothers and everything. I don't know which one of my kids I called first. All I was telling everybody to get to my baby. Somebody done did something to him. I didn't even tell them, the police, because my mind was like, well, maybe somebody did something to Christopher, and the police got there for doing something. I never in a million years.
Never thought it would be the police.
Thought it would be the police. So when I got down there and seen my daughter, my son-in-law crying, my daughter.
So they did. Your kids got to the scene before you did.
Yes.
Sometimes I think that's a good barrier for you not to be the first one.
Not one time did I still looked on my phone, look for nothing. I'm just
You was
Now,
numb.
when I finally realized coming through, the manager of Dollar Tree and a couple other customers was helping me and my mother get in the truck.
Oh, wow.
And I said, well, number God that drove me down there, because I don't remember if I passed red lights or what. But when I got there, I think I just was kind of in blink, off and on. All I heard was people saying, we told him not to kill him. He had a problem. We got a video. I'm just hearing stuff.
So
around.
somebody filmed your son's shooting, which I did see online today, but I did not watch.
He wasn't the only one.
I didn't watch
several people.
Have you watched it?
No.
Yeah, I couldn't watch it this morning. I saw it and I said, nah, I don't think so.
Once when after everything and we left him up there at the scene and we were sitting down and it popped back on the news, and when I seen Christopher jumping around out there in his drawers, I broke and said that wasn't him. That wasn't him. That wasn't him. Like
his normal self.
His normal self.
So
couldn't they to tell something was
wrong? So take us back to that scene. So you pull up. It's chaotic. People are saying, no, he wasn't himself. We tried to save him. We recorded it. We tried to tell him. So you weren't there. You don't know. So over the last 12 months, what is the story you heard play out before IMPD took your son's life?
The story that I heard that he had a knife and charged at the police.
Okay.
But they got a suicide call. A call went in. They seen him standing out there.
So was it somebody from his apartment?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was already bleeding.
Okay.
So they seen that. And I heard when they got out there, they jumped out, telling him to put the knife down, hysterical. And, I get it that they didn't know he was mentally ill.
But they saw a man with a knife.
And they got a suicide call.
Call. Did he have any cuts on himself?
Yes.
So
he had self-inflicted wounds.
Okay, self-inflicted wounds.
And he was bleeding.
He was bleeding, and it was a suicide call. It wasn't, oh my God, somebody get over here. This man is trying to stab me.
No.
It wasn't that kind of call.
It wasn't that kind of
it was, I see somebody, looks like he's trying to kill himself. Can you please come and help?
No, the call said suicidal.
I see someone suicidal.
Yeah.
Have you heard the call? Have you been able to listen?
I haven't. They have not reached. I don't even. I'm just reading and hearing on, the media that they found it justifiable. No one has came to me and my family to save me.
Okay, we're going to get to that in a second because that's really what prompted me to want to have a one-on-one with you when I heard that. So you get to they get this suicide call. They get to the scene. They pull their guns out on him. Is this what you hear?
Yeah.
Okay. They pulled their guns out on him. Have you heard of any training that IMPD receives when they get these kind of calls to subdue a suicidal person? Or do they just take action because they so-called feel their lives in threat? And I'm not saying that their lives cannot feel threatened, so please don't think I'm saying that, because absolutely if you see someone with a knife, you might feel threatened. But they have guns. Is there any kind of training or any kind of tactics that they tried to use on Christopher before they shot him that you've heard of?
Well, I was heard that they tried to tase him twice.
Okay.
But with everyone that watched the video said that need a taser stick because they jumping around, he jumping around. Really, basically, they wasn't close enough.
So
then I also heard that they supposed to have grabbed him by the arm, try to,
wrestle
him down. And he almost cut them.
Okay.
I'm going to be honest with you, that's a lie.
How many officers were on the scene that you heard of?
4 or 5.
So 4 or 5 officers. And I know when somebody might be in a psychosis or a psychotic state, they get extra strength. But 4 or 5 officers could not wrestle him down and take the knife.
Now, police officers, for all the years of our life we've been knowing, when one attack, all attack.
Exactly.
So, and Christopher was already bleeding and weak. He was adrenaline. It wasn't too much over 115 pounds. So you mean to tell me that one got behind him, supposed to have distracted him, and they couldn't get him down?
Wow.
So at this point, when they see that he had a problem, why didn't they call CIT officers, some other kind of special help?
Yes. Because it was clear that he was trying to hurt himself, not them.
Yeah. And he wasn't harming nobody but himself.
And
That's
prior
always
to
been his
this,
problem.
he never harmed anybody.
No, it's always been his either harming himself or just not himself.
Or just not himself. So they try to wrestle him to the ground.
That's what they say.
They say. It didn't work. Was he shot in the midst of the hustle?
No.
Of the wrestling to the ground? So what's have you heard about the actual shooting?
They said that he jumped at the officer with a knife, and they shot him 4 times. There was 3 shots, a pause, and a 3rd time. From what little I was able to watch, that I could watch, Christopher, I don't think he was trying to target them. He wanted to be left alone. I think Christopher was trying to get away to get to his back to his
apartment.
If he'd have got to his place, was able to get to one of us or call us, he probably would have. He just snapped or ran, or I just really don't think Christopher was really trying to charge at the police, because if you watch that whole video, what I was been told, I feel they intimidated my son.
They scared him.
He was scared.
He was already scared.
Yeah, out of his mind.
Out of his mind.
Here it is, December weather, you just in boxing shorts and
so
bleeding.
My thing is, we see someone acting erratic. They have self-inflicted wounds. It's December 12th in Indianapolis, which today is December 10th, and it's very cold outside. And they have on boxer shorts. They didn't think to call you said the CIT officers, some kind of mental health agency to say, or they did attempt tasing. What do they still carry those sticks, those clubs? Knock them down. Try to knock him to the ground, and then maybe somebody, once he's on the ground, we can get the knife and handcuff him.
Well, I was even told they attempted to try to mace him. So we all know that's a lie, because Christopher has chronic asthma. If you set the distance from us, you spray a mace, and we gonna get choked up. And what about the neighbors who are out there? Because mace can affect everybody. I talked to plenty of people, even an 11-year-old child. Little girl, they never laid one finger on him.
So
they never used no mace, nothing.
So from the rendition that you got from people that were actually there, the police just shot and killed your son. They saw this knife in his hand. Maybe felt threatened. I'll give them that much credit. They might have felt threatened. But looking at the situation in its totality, your son needed help.
Yes, he did.
He did not need a bullet.
Yes, he did. I don't know. I just feel like, I don't know what they thought they was fighting up against. My son wasn't a criminal.
No background check. I mean, no history. Just a man with mental illness, which sounds like came from a childhood sickness. They shot and killed him.
Yeah, this is how I feel. That's how family feel. Christopher has 2 daughters. His older daughter, Naomi's birthday is 17. Mine's 18. His sister's 18. His sister's 19. This thing about last year, we was numb. This year, we still trying to deal with it.
Still trying to go through it.
And now,
so you hear your son is shot. You get to the scene. It's crazy, and you trying to figure out what happened. Did an officer approach you and say, ma'am, I am so sorry, but we felt there was no other choice but to pull the trigger?
No. I don't know. When I got there, it was officers. Everybody was talking to everybody. And if they did, I was numb. I was blank. I just couldn't believe, they killed my child when he needed help. And all I kept hearing, if they didn't have to kill him, I heard people saying, well, you told him something was wrong with him, don't shoot him. Someone even told us, they said, let me talk to him, and they told him to get back.
Did the police take any, okay, hold on, I'm gonna go. I'm trying not to get too far, so many questions with this. So people are saying that you're trying to figure out, did IMPD say, ma'am, I'm so sorry? Did they make their way through the crowd? In the last 12 months, have they sent you a letter? Has an officer came to your home and said, I am so sorry?
No.
Nothing?
Nothing. Not even from his mental health program. Nothing. And
even if they label it justifiable, even if they do, the officer who shot your son, nothing?
No. I was told it was 2 officers.
4 shots, 2 officers.
So I'm still wondering, why did it take 4 shots?
So we know recently in the news, and I don't want to say the name because I don't want to say it right, but the young man in South Carolina, as he was running from the police, it's all on camera. They shot him 8 times. No criminal background. Traffic ticket. The video does show him running, but it was for a traffic ticket. He wasn't receiving a warrant for murder, nothing. A traffic ticket. Had a newborn baby at home, a family that loved him, and then he was shot 8 times. What is the excuse or the reason for shooting someone so many times?
I never understood that. Even if they shot Christopher one time, they still had the upper hand. They had the upper hand without even using them.
And why are and then I wish, if someone is watching, chime in on my social media, which is DeAndre Yates on Facebook, and I want to know, why do they shoot to kill? Could they not shot him in his ankle to get him to the ground?
Well,
to this day, do you know where your son was shot on his body?
Not exactly, but the death certificate said the fatal shot was the abdomen.
So they shot him in his midsection.
I was told the first shot went up. I don't know why the second, third, if one.
Have you read a police report?
Yeah. Yeah, I read that police report. That's why I get that from about the mace.
Okay. It was their own words. Did the police report match the story that you got from the Christopher's neighbors?
No.
Did not match anything of an eyewitness. Did they take...
Other than he was jumping around. And they did say that they did pull out tasers, but the way they was jumping and he was jumping, they kept coming up on Christopher, startling him. And the tasers didn't touch him. He didn't touch him enough to stick. Because if you use tasers with all that bolt,
it should have knocked him to the ground.
As Christopher was, he was already, yes. So that day, if police apologize, I haven't heard no one tell me that. Because at this point, I don't think everyone was so upset and in shock. And then not only that, I would have thought that they would have went out to their community and offered counseling, because they did not realize how bad that, for people to see that like that affected the kids, the neighborhood.
Because there was a lot of people standing out there.
Yeah. So they didn't go back up in there and offer counseling to the community or to the apartment managers, said, could we meet up with some of these and have counseling? Or they didn't. And it's a lot of mentally ill people live up there.
And not only that, that would have been awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But any kind of investigation from the police department, or did they feel like it was cut and dry?
I think that's what they did.
They didn't go out and interview any of the
Well,
witnesses?
I was told they knocked on some doors. Someone told me mainly they was asking who was I, who was his parents. What do they know about us?
So
I don't know
that they
if
could place
they
some kind of
really-
blame on you.
Yeah, I don't know if they really truly did a fully thorough investigation. They found it justifiable. I found that out listening through the media newspaper.
So I know on my end, with my son being shot, I haven't gotten any community help, even from where my son was shot at a home where there was adults inside, and I haven't got any help, any assistance. But I'm thinking, if it's a IMPD police involved shooting, that you would get some kind of communication, some kind of letter, offer of launching your own investigation, as so many, like the mother is doing in South Carolina.
I think that they did know how to reach me, because when we were standing, the only one I do remember that was given they condolence, the chaplain.
Mr. Cody.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. He's the main one I do remember. And he just kept on. I remember him saying, now I can bring his face, I'm so sorry. Yeah. And when I seen him prior to after that happened, he did ask how the family doing. Y'all still in my prayers. And he the main one I do remember. But anybody else,
nothing.
They said Chief Heights was up there. He might have been. I can't say no, because like I said, I was this.
So much of it is a blur to you because you are in shock.
Yeah.
One thing, of course, to be in shock that your child is shot, period. But to see that the people that are here to protect and serve, knowing that your son was mentally ill, sent you to a whole nother level of shock. Like, how in the world could this have happened?
What really, when I found out he was shot 4 times, that was devastating. I feel like they shot him down like a dog, and Christopher didn't deserve that.
No.
He just wasn't that type of child. And then for them to not to his mental health program, and them not to even reach out to us or the community up there after going through all that. I probably lost a child, but I do know it really ripped a lot of people. Yeah. And they didn't reach out.
It's unbelievable. When kids are shot in schools, when people are shot in the malls and different things like that, they send out social workers, social services, they send out counseling just to make sure you're okay. This community has heard nothing since the day your son was murdered.
I still talk to a couple of people up there.
Nothing. We shot and killed another black man, and that's it.
That's it. So, and the reason they couldn't keep pulling his name or saying that, because he didn't have no criminal background. Because you know, if he did, they'd have drug that like.
Oh yeah.
They'd have ran that down.
Oh yeah. Same thing with Dre. Of course, my baby was only 13, but they couldn't find anything. And they did come to me pretty immediately. The sheriff did at the hospital and say, your son has been completely exonerated from having anything to do with the shooting. They did come to me and say that at the like hours after, like everybody in the party cleared Dre's name. But to not reach out to you, that just, I didn't know that's how it works. I didn't know that was the way of the operation, to just leave you hanging.
I didn't either.
I'm assuming it's from personal guilt, and that they don't want any kind of legal action taken against them for charges to be pressed against those officers.
And what really hurts, that it's just like they swept this up on the rug, and when we do things to bring awareness for the mental ill, none of Christopher, we invite.
They don't come.
Mm-mm.
We're going to take a quick break. And I want to talk about the mental health stigma that you are so vocal about. I know when I was sharing my post about you being on the show, I said that here's another mother who never shuts up. Because that's the term I put on myself. Is I'll never be quiet. My son didn't deserve to be shot, so I'll never be quiet.
Not like that.
No.
And then I was even told that they didn't try to resuscitate him. Nothing. He lay there and took his last breath. So that's so devastating to me, because normally when Christopher having an outburst, we are there.
Yeah.
So I just said, God allowed it to be this way, because I'd have jumped up, I'd have took those bullet shots from my son.
Very much so.
Because I know he wasn't in his right mind.
He wasn't in his right mind.
And I know they had to know, but that's common sense.
That's common sense. And then, just as a parent, I was working on some remarks that I have to do next week. And that was the first time that I had put that in words, where I said, I wish I was there to protect my baby, even to take the bullet.
Yes.
Because that's what mothers do. That's what mothers do.
Yeah.
I would have took that bullet for Dre in a heartbeat, just like I know you would have did for Christopher.
I would have. I'd have jumped up there like,
maybe trying to stop it, but if I would have got hit in the meantime, at least my baby would be in his right mind, at least your baby would still be here. Yeah. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about the mental health stigma on our community, on the Black community, and how IMPD looks at those with mental health illnesses. Because as I was doing my research, and I'll read it later, but there's a great percentage of people that are incarcerated with mental health illnesses, and officers are faced with this on a daily basis. So why are they not more properly trained to take care of those who suffer? So please stay with us as we dive a little bit deeper into this candid conversation with Miss Pamela Wooden, honoring her son, Christopher Goodlow, and his memory. We'll be back. Thank you for tuning in. All right, thank you for tuning back in with us as I am continuing my conversation with Pamela Wooden on the murder of her son, Christopher Goodlow, at age 25, December 12th, 2015. I want to read something from the Goodlow family as we go into our next segment, just diving a little bit more into the stigma on mental health and things like that. What does it mean to forgive? It means to let go of malice and hate. Forgiveness does not seek revenge, but it does seek godly righteousness and accountability. To forgive requires that every step afterwards is walked out in love. This is no spiteful behavior. The person that is operating in forgiveness is released from all ill will towards the perpetrator, which in turn frees the victim. The family understands that Christopher S. Goodlow Jr. had a mental illness. The family is glad to work towards forgiveness, but don't we have to do something more than just praise the Goodlow family for being willing to move in the direction of forgiveness? I remember when Dre was shot and I did a press conference, and it took no second thought for me to say, I forgive this young man, but please turn yourself in because my baby deserves justice. And when I just read this, that's what it made me think of. When the sentence says, the family is glad to work towards forgiveness, but don't we have to do something more than just praise the Goodlow family for being willing to move in the direction of forgiveness? And that means, to some extent, show yourself worthy of being forgiven. Like an apology. Like, you know what? We could say, for IMPD, we deem it justifiable, but we are so sorry that we had to take this kind of aggressive or forceful action towards your son. Do you feel like you're there yet with forgiving these officers for the choices that they made? that have changed your life forever?
Yes, I really do. I really do, because I pray for them that they get the proper training, not just them, all of them. And to be honest with you, I feel like that's an excuse, because I've been told that they start off, they know, they get this training. They know when they get a suicidal call. You know, you go back months after this happened to Christopher. Remember they encountered a suicide man was sitting in the car with a gun, and they tased him. He shot the police officer. Was it in the ankle that he shot the police officer? So I didn't understand how is it that they take a life with a knife and save a life with a gun. Thank God. I thank God by all means that they didn't have to kill that gentleman. But how's they fear from a knife and not a gun? And this didn't happen more than once.
Yeah, there have been several since Christopher. I tried
Christopher
to find that number for Indianapolis online, but I didn't. But we know that about 2 weeks ago, a young man in Avon, which the news reported, I haven't talked to his family, so I can't say his facts. The news reported that he suffered from mental illness. There was a 15-year-old this summer who was killed by IOPD after he had stolen a car. So there's been several, and we know there's been several all over our country. The mental health stigma, that has become your platform since Christopher's murder. That has been where you have continued to be your son's voice. What does that mean to you and your family to get the awareness out about the mental health and the stigma?
It means a whole lot, because we don't never want to see another mental ill person lose their life the way that Christopher did. Not in the hands of law enforcement, because it should be a better way that they need to handle dealing with the mental ill. And when they know that they encounter mental ill, they know they're not in the right mind. Because Lord knows if Christopher had lived through this, I can guarantee you he wouldn't remember it. Because he had went through episodes he didn't remember doing or trying to do to himself. So, and not just him, you know, since this happened, a lot of people throughout have reached out to me, and it's opening up and telling me stories I couldn't believe happened in the facilities and in with the law enforcement.
What kind of courage does it take as a mother to, and both of us later are going to the Journey into Healing conference with Mothers Against Violence Ministries. And so when I was preparing to speak there later, I was just thinking about the strength that it takes to live through losing a child. In my case, seeing your child altered. What kind of courage does it take for you to say, you know what, I'm very heartbroken that Christopher is gone, but I have to do this for him, his children, for his legacy, and for all those, because I say this isn't just about Dre. This is about every other young man who's ever been shot and injured by a gun. Any other young man who has lost their life, and any other young man who's thinking about taking a life. I have to be that voice and that advocate. So what kind of courage, because I see your post all the time, we talk often, and I'm just like, wow. Because there's some mothers who don't have the strength that we have to get up. So what kind of courage does that take, and where does it come from?
God. I ask God every day to give me the strength and courage to do what He needs me to do. And I believe this is one of my callings, to reach out to families with mental ill. And my heart goes out to all these mothers that's losing their child through this gun violence. It's terrible, and I pray. And my strength comes from my mother. You know, she have lost 4 kids, been killed throughout the years. And when I look at her And I said, God, nobody but God. So in my mother's voice, I tell anybody, if you don't know him, you better get to know him. So that's where my strength comes from.
It's supernatural strength is what I tell people.
Yes.
Because do you think, for me personally, I would have never looked at myself like, oh, I could be a champion in this. I could really fight through my son being shot. Like I would have never thought. I knew before Dre was shot that I was yearning for a purpose. Yearning for a purpose. Like, oh, I'm getting in my 30s. I really need. And I had no idea that this would be the avenue. I said, "Woo, God, you ask for something, God will give it to you."
You know, 8.5, 9 months prior to that, March of that same year, I lost my husband to cancer. Just getting through that.
Just being able to get up and breathe again and try to have some kind of normalcy, and then your breath is taken back.
That's all I can say that day. I feel like I just buried my husband. Why take my son? So when all that started happening, and I had coming back to the stigma.
Yes.
I heard from my family, don't go pay no attention to what people say. You wouldn't believe the things people say about the mental ill. It is really a shame. You know, for them to say the police officer did an excellent job, that's not nothing to give them a pat on the back for. That wasn't an excellent job. What define excellent for that?
Define what do you think excellent?
Excellent is.
Wow.
And for them to say they're crazy, they need to be locked away, you wouldn't believe. Not just what happened to Christopher, but even with the young man that happened in Avon, you wouldn't believe the stuff that they say.
People were saying. But what we all know is people do not understand until they walk in your shoes. And like I said on the Facebook post where somebody wanted to battle with me and Pam about it being a justifiable shooting, and that person had the audacity to say, if it was my child, I would accept the outcome. That blew me away. And like I told her, I hope you never are faced with what we've been faced with, but to tell a mother, I don't care who shot them.
That's right.
To tell a mother they need to accept the outcome of their child's murder, people have no clue.
No,
they have no idea the daily battles that we face when your life is turned upside down by gun violence.
And
they have no idea.
But God that controlled our mouth and calmed our attitude.
That we kept it very respectful. I said my Facebook will be very respectful, but there was some things
that we could
have. Very much so.
We had to tell her to get the facts.
And we told her to get the facts. Get the facts.
And
don't. I'm okay with you posting your opinion, but come with facts.
Yeah.
And then, but I did ask her never to come on my page and tell a mother who's lost their child to accept the outcome. Don't ever do that to any mother who's lost a child in any kind of way. But so you want to be, so tell me, you want to be that voice. What are some things, because you have a very supportive family. I always see you with one of your daughters, your son-in-laws, your son, your mother, your siblings. I always see you with somebody being supportive to this mission. What are some of the things that you want to bring awareness to, being Christopher's voice for the mentally ill? Suicidal.
When you see someone, or even if you talk to someone, they talk suicidal, and you try to talk to them and get help, and if you think they're not going to do it, reach out and go call help for them. You know, and if that one person you call ain't seem to be doing the job, keep calling, call all around.
So when you see somebody, don't just dismiss.
Don't dismiss.
Right. I want to read a couple things that you gave me to read, and I think this will kind of sum it up, some of the things that you and your family want to help out with as you continue on this journey. How do we prevent another tragedy like this where another mentally ill human being does not end up dying? According to reports, the 911 call came in as a suicidal. Therefore, trained professionals from law enforcement needed to be dispatched to the scene along with other professional mental health specialists. So not just bringing the police to the scene. We need to bring other mental health, and as I was reading about this, that's exactly what I was thinking.
We just talked about that too last night.
Yes. Proper training will help to bring potential tragic situations under control. In addition to training for law enforcement, there must be a broader scope that must include healthcare professionals, legislation that allows caring family members to provide necessary support and not be locked out of the process. So I say to you, one of the groups I'm in is Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. They're a grassroots group, and when I say grassroots, they get down in the trenches. And they go to hearings and stuff to try to block different laws from passing. You and your family, that may be something that you want to get involved in, is the legislation process of how these situations are handled, how officers are trained, how they respond, and then not even on that side, helping mental health, mental ill patients, period, so that it doesn't even get to this point where a mother has to bury their child.
It's right, because a lot of people don't realize, but mental illness is a disease. It's a serious sickness. It's no different from cancer, leukemia. It's a serious sickness. The treatments and medications is different, but it's no different. You know, they fighting with a turmoil in their head. They going through stuff. You know,
things some of us can't even imagine. Without, like, we sit here and talk and think clearly. They got voices and different things going on. Like, it's real.
You know, and I thought about that. What was telling him to do that? You know, what was telling him to cut himself? You know, I thought about what was in his mind when they shot him. I know he was looking for me. I know, you know, all of this kind of stuff went in my head.
Same thing I was saying.
He's in there bleeding. You know, I couldn't get to him. You know. So, yeah, people should not never judge a mental ill person.
But try to get them help.
And don't look at them and call them crazy, ignorant. It's a sickness.
In closing, we just have a few more minutes left. I want to ask you a couple of things. You described in detail a lot of thoughts that a lot of mothers have, because most of us aren't there when our kids are shot. And so I remember wishing I could be there. I know my son was like, where's my mother? Like, how can I, the chaotic, we tend to really, really go back to the chaoticness and the sadness of it.
I wanted to be there, even if I couldn't say this, lay there when he on him, hold him when he take his last breath.
To be that protector.
Just let him know.
God put that in us.
Tell you, they did.
Yeah. But what is, when we think about Christopher prior to December 12th, 2015, what is the best memory that you can think of with your son before he lost his life?
Every day, not a day go by, Christopher didn't call and tell me, I love you, Mom. And you all right? I'm all right. And that smile, anybody that know him, that smile.
It's just something you can look back on and think about. That's your greatest memory, is that he reached out to you every single day.
A couple of days even before that, he was like, well, Mama, with my Lisa, can I move back home with you? I said, funny that you said that, because I plan on moving you back with me the first of the year. Because God put that on my heart. And because I even said if I had to cut my hours going to work to watch him, because I don't want him to slip back and be that bad off as he was. And then for them to take him off his shots, oh my God.
Have you found, as you've been vocal, and even today, let's talk about that real quick. Today, you are honoring your son's memory, the anniversary of his shooting. Tell us a little bit about that.
We're just honoring his memory and asking everyone that want to come out and support the family. The year would be Monday the 12th, but we honor his memory, and we want mental health families to come out and support, or to tell us a brief of your story or testimony, to help fight the stigma and the things that we can all come together and do and work at. It's not a me, it's a us in this all together. Even mothers that lost a child that want to come out, you know. And we also raffling off in food baskets. It's not it's free. You would not have to pay, and we will have refreshments.
Have you found on this journey in the last 12 months, are you finding purpose for all this pain?
Yes, slowly but surely. Sometimes I was like, but the more and more as I speak out and trying to reach out and people telling me their stories, the more of this, the more that I realize this has to happen. You know, like me and you was talking on the way, sometimes when we do stuff, we don't care if we have to stand alone. We're not going to give up for our sons.
We're not going to give up, and we'll continue to be that voice.
That's right.
And I just feel like this kind of pain, we have to find purpose behind it, and that keeps us sane and grounded. Because otherwise we'd be crazy. I was talking to a father the other day, and he said, if I didn't do any kind of work in the community, I would be crazy after losing my son.
And there's a lot of fathers that hurting so bad inside that don't know how to speak up. Like Christopher, father, he's hurting.
Yeah.
My son, they are hurting.
Yeah.
But they support. But the reason they don't speak out much because they still got a lot of anger.
Right.
And they don't want to come out with anger. So we praying for them.
And it's all a part of the healing journey.
That's right.
And everybody is in different places at different times. Pam, I want to thank you so much for coming on to Positively You. I love you too. You have been amazing, and I just appreciate you so much. Real quick, today at 5 o'clock, honoring Christopher Goodlow's memory will be where? Give us the address real fast.
Off of 16th Park, the old school 27 building.
So it's open to the community.
It's open to the community.
Refreshments. They're going to have raffle food baskets, and just come out and support this family as they honor their son. And I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. I feel like this hour goes so fast. We can never get enough out. Next week, we will be shining a light on parents who have not received justice. My show next week is actually going to be a 2-hour show, so I have a little bit more time, and it's called All I Want for Christmas is Justice. And we are just asking those who have been affected by gun violence and have not received justice to come out. We will be at Living Waters Fellowship Church in the Fellowship Hall, which is my church. Thank you, Pastor Kim Outlaw, for allowing us to use your facility. At 10 o'clock, doors will open about 9:30. Our panel discussion will be 4 different parents who have lost their kids and hear nothing from the detectives, have no support from the community, because we know people see something, they just don't say anything. And I'm going to be more than just an interviewer. I'm going to be on that panel as well, because I have yet to receive justice, and I never heard from Jerry's detective. So I just appreciate you all supporting. Come out next week, support these families. And one thing I want to say real quick in closing is, as I talk to Pam and I'm thinking about that last memory she had with her son, when you know someone or come encounter with someone who has lost a family member in any kind of way during the holiday season, it is a rough time. I was sharing with a parent that I still have my child, but it's not the same. I won't cry, but having my son home for Christmas is not like having your average 16-year-old in the home, and not having her son home at Christmas, period. It's just an emptiness, it's a heaviness. If you know someone who has an empty seat this year at the Christmas table, or their babies are not there to unwrap gifts with them, send them a text, send them some love, give them a hug, some words of encouragement to help them get through what I would say, outside of the anniversaries, is the most difficult time of the year. So just continue to be a blessing and show love, and tune in next week to viewulive.com on Positively You as we shine light into dark places. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Love you.
That was good. You got through it.